New Zealand commentator Tony Johnson has thrown rugby fans into a frenzy by hinting that the final clash of rugby's greatest rivalry might not be held at Twickenham, but at Croke Park in Dublin, one of the most sacred and politically charged venues in Irish sporting history. Just a week ago, New Zealand Rugby and SA Rugby announced the details of the All Blacks' monumental 8-game tour of South Africa, featuring 4 tests against the Springboks, 3 confirmed for Ellis Park, DHL Stadium and FNB Stadium. But the 4th, that's where things get interesting. The statement only said, a landmark 4th test hosted at a neutral international venue. Naturally, fans assumed the Allianz Stadium would host the decider, a ground where the Boks have already played 3 tests since 2023. But Johnson's comments have shaken that assumption to its core. Speaking on the DSPM podcast with Martin Devlin, the Sky Sports NZ broadcaster revealed whispers of a different, far more symbolic setting. Well, Twickenham was the talk early on, but I've just heard, and I don't know how much traction there is to this, but the mumblings that I'm hearing is that Croke Park in Dublin is now a possibility, said Johnson. That's just something that's been floating around. If it is the case, man, that would be a special occasion. For those who understand the weight of Irish history, the mention of Croke Park carries enormous significance. Devlin himself reminded listeners, you've got to get permission to do that because there's a lot of history that has taken place at that, and a lot of geopolitical history as well, Johnson agreed, adding depth to the story. Absolutely. There was a terrible thing that happened there during the uprising, and for a number of reasons, it was decreed that it would be the headquarters of the GAA, those uniquely Irish games, hurling and Gaelic football, and the deal always was nothing else. Rugby was seen as a British game, and it wasn't to be played there. But times changed. As things thawed out mercifully over the years, attitudes softened and changed, Johnson continued. When they rebuilt the Aviva into the magnificent stadium that it is today, they needed somewhere to go, and they reached an accord. Ireland took games there, and the first one was this incredible moment when they played England, and it was something quite incredible that happened. Johnson, who was there when the All Blacks played at Croke Park in 2008, reflected emotionally on the experience. When you go into the offices and you see photos up on the wall, you get a sense of just how important this is. Look, if that's the case, it will be a fantastic opportunity to play at a sacred ground. It's more than words like bastion and fortress. This is sacred. For context, the All Blacks and Springboks have each played just once at Croke Park, New Zealand winning 22-3 in 2008 and South Africa losing 15-10 a year later. Johnson then turned his attention to the tour itself, warning that Robertson's men are walking into a brutal challenge. The rest of the tour, the 4 URC sides and the test matches, don't underestimate how tough this is going to be. To play those tests in consecutive weekends against such a powerful South African team, he said. They are taking on something that is really, really grueling, really tough. The tours of South Africa have always been tough, but man, this is going to be some sort of challenge, particularly with the strength of the Springboks at the moment. If Johnson's inside whispers prove true, rugby fans could witness something unforgettable. A Springboks vs All Blacks test on Irish soil at one of the most sacred venues in the world. But what do you think? Should rugby's greatest rivalry really be taken to Croke Park? Or would that be crossing a line too far for tradition's sake? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for the latest updates right here on Green and Gold Army News.